Good morning, Mr. Roy. Welcome to Jamie and Partners. I'm Demi, the clerk who contacted you this morning and booked this appointment for you. Have you had your breakfast?
Yep. Good morning, Miss Demi. Yes, we have had our breakfast. Thank you for scheduling this meeting for us today. And together with me is my wife, Miss Eileen.
Hi, Miss Demi. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Miss Eileen. Glad to have you and Mr. Roy with us today. First of all, we apologize that due to the current pandemic, we could only meet you virtually through this Zoom platform. However, our lawyers will still do their best to assist you in your matter and provide you with professional advice.
It's okay, Miss Demi. We understand the situation. Everyone has to adapt to the new norm now, right?
Yeah, thank you for understanding, Mr. Roy. Before we begin with the consultation session, I would like to reconfirm with you about your concern. As per our last conversation, you mentioned that you would like to consult on the damages claim regarding the accident which you were involved, right?
Yep. The one my late son and I were involved in.
All right. So the lawyers here with us are Ms. Soritra and Ms. Lee, and they will be addressing your concern.
Glad to see you, Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen. You may call me Soritra.
Hello, Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen. I'm Lee. For information, Soritra and I are experienced in handling cases involving motor vehicles accidents. Thus, we hope our expertise will be able to help you. Also, we are truly sorry for not being able to meet with you last Thursday because we were having another consultation session at that time.
No worries. Nice to meet you, Miss Lee and Miss Soritra.
Nice to meet you too. So before we begin with our consultation session, we would like to brief you on the consultation fees and also confidential witty matters regarding this meeting.
So first of all, I would like to bring to your notice that whatever conversation we are having right now is just between the five of us and within these four walls. We definitely will not be disclosing anything we have discussed to third parties without your consent. All your details and documents related to our dealings are protected by legal professional privilege, and therefore we are not allowed to disclose them. So we hope you could be as open as possible with us. Besides, during the consultation, we will also jot down what you have said just to ensure that we have an accurate record about your situation. If you are agreeable with the confidential terms of the agreement, please sign the Personal Data Protection Notice, PDPN, which we have emailed to you this morning, and kindly revert to us the signed copy by this evening as part of the procedure.
Okay, no problem. I'll sign the notice and send it back to you after this.
Thank you. Next, I will brief you about the rate of our consultation fees. Based on our firm policy, there will be no charge for the first consultation. However, for the subsequent consultation session, the consultation fees will be 100 ringgit per hour.
Oh, I never knew that the fees are calculated based on hours, but this rate appears to be reasonable to me and I'm fine with it.
So at the end of the session, if you decide to retain us as your representing lawyer, you may sign the warrant to act that has been emailed to you together with the Personal Data Protection Notice this morning. You may revert them back to us after you have signed it.
Okay, sure. But we don't have to make a decision now, right?
No, you don't have to make the decision right away. You may take your time to decide whether or not you would like to retain us as your lawyers. And if yes, we will then proceed to the next step in your case.
Okay, we understand.
All right, if there are no further questions, I will proceed to explain about the procedure of our consultation today.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen, we are going to first listen to your problem in order to familiarize ourselves with your situation. We will be asking you questions to learn more about the details of your situation. After that, we will summarize all the information we got from you. In between, please feel free to add in anything or correct us if you notice that we have made any mistake, then we will advise you on the possible way in solving your problem. Is that all right for you?
Yep, no problem for me. I don't have any questions. What about you, Eileen?
Yeah, I'm completely okay with it too.
Okay, Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen, without any further ado, could you please tell us the details of the accident?
The accident happened about 6 months ago when I was riding my motorcycle to pick up my son John from his tuition center. And on our way back home, we were hit by a car at the traffic light junction, which caused the death of my son.
My son is only 10 years old and he is a very polite and clever kid. Everyone like him very much, and if he is still here, I'm sure that he will have a bright future ahead of him. But because of the accidents,
We are so sorry to hear that, Miss Eileen and Mr. Roy, and my deepest condolences to both of you and your family. I know that this is very hard to recall such a painful memory, but could you please let us know the exact time and the date of the accident?
the accident happens on 28 June 2021 around 10 p.m. This is the date that I could never forget for the rest of my life, as I had lost my beloved son. Hence, it is also my husband and I's wedding's anniversary, which I could say it is the happiest and painful moment in my life that happened on the same day. What I could say is that only God knows how I actually feel right now.
Can you please tell us more where and how the accident occurred?
It was a rainy day in Jitra at night, and at that time I stopped at the traffic light junction near Hospital Jitra as the light turned red. Suddenly, a car hit us from the rear side, and me and my son were thrown off from the motorcycle. After that, but is that I was sent to the hospital nearby, and my son died at the scene.
Yeah, I was so shocked upon hearing that, and I rushed to the hospital as soon as possible after I received a call from someone called Mr. Tom. He is the person who helped to send them to the hospital.
Did Mr. Tom say how the accident happened?
Yeah, he told me that he saw a Proton Satya car driving at a high speed, and it did not decelerate at all when approaching the red traffic light. Mr. Tom told me that the driver tried to stop his car, but the car could not come to a complete stop and hence crashed into my husband's motorcycle from the rear. During the accidents, he also catched the plate number of the car, which was AGV352. And he said that he saw the driver was driving one-handed while using this phone. I strongly believe that the driver was distracted by his phone and did not realize that the traffic light turned red, which caused the accident to happen.
Do you have Mr. Tom's contact information, as he could be an important witness in this case?
Yeah, I do have it with me.
Great. So, Mr. Roy, apart from the loss of your son, may I know what other injury have you suffered due to the accident?
I was hospitalized for 3 months due to my spinal fracture, other open fractures, muscle injuries, and scarrings all over my body.
That sounds quite serious. Do you have the medical report with you to prove these injuries?
Yes, I have it with me. Do I have to provide you with the receipts as well?
Yes, it would be great if you could send it along with a copy of your son's death certificate and your medical receipt.
All right, no problem.
Mr. Roy, may I know if the accident has in any way affected your job?
Before the accident happened, I was working as a school bus driver at Jitra Kedah. However, due to the accident, I suffered from spinal injury which had caused me to be unable to perform my work properly as I could not recover from the injury. Because of that, my previous employer fired me and I'm still unemployed until today.
It's okay, Mr. Roy. We are here to help you.
Since the accident, we have been having a hard time because I am a housewife and Roy is the only breadwinner of our family. We have a new baby born to raise, and our savings are nearly depleted due to the high medical costs for Roy and John because of the accidents.
May I know how much is your earning in a month when you are still working as a bus driver?
My monthly salary was 3,200 ringgit, and now things are getting worse. We are in the midst of pandemic, and many companies are trying to cut down their costs. They are not offering job opportunities. I've tried to send job applications to many companies, but none of them accepted my application. So I was wondering if we can be compensated for the damages which we have suffered from the driver.
Yes, you should be able to claim for the compensation of your physical injuries, loss of earnings, and other relevant damages if it can be proven that the accident is caused by the driver's fault.
Both of us are really hoping that we can at least get some compensation. We had suffered so much. We lost our son, our sources of income, and the suffering is just unbearable for us to handle in this short time. If it is possible, may we know the estimated amount that we can get for the compensation?
It depends on the medical expenses you incurred as a result of the accident and the amount of income lost due to your inability to work. You may also be able to seek compensation for personal grief due to the death of your son.
Also, we would like to confirm if Mr. Roy has a license and whether your license and road tag are still valid and not expired at the material time.
Well, my motorcycle license will expire in November next year, and I just renewed the road tax of my motorcycle 1 month before the accident. So, thinking back now, I really regret for not making sure that John was wearing a safety helmet on the way back home.
Yeah, Roy did wear a safety helmet on that day, but as for John, it's all our fault.
I see, but no worries because this will not affect your claim as riding without a safety helmet has no connection with the cause of the accident.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I get your point now.
Okay, Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen, I think we have gathered sufficient information from both of you, so we will now reinstate the facts of the case with you again. You may intervene if any of this has left out anything.
All right.
So the accident occurred on 28th of June 2021 at about 10 p.m. The accident involved you as the rider and your son as the pillion rider of the motorcycle. This accident involved also with the driver of the motor car, Proton Satya, with the plate numbers AGV 352 at the junction near to the hospital Chitrakada. The accident occurred because the car did not decelerate at the traffic light junction, light with your motorcycle from the rear, because the driver was unable to come to a complete stop when he realized that the traffic light has turned red. And from your story, I learned that this might be due to the fact that he was distracted by the phone call at the time, as it was witnessed by Mr. Tom, a passerby, that the driver was driving one-handed while using his phone. Up to this point, did I miss out anything related to the accident?
Nope, nothing has been missed out.
So, and due to the accident, you suffered from severe physical injuries such as spinal fracture, other open fracture, muscles injuries, and scarring over your body, and was hospitalized for 3 months. As for your son, he passed away at the scene. And now you are unable to work as a bus driver anymore due to the inability to recover fully from the spinal injury. Also, you are unemployed until today, so you are here to seek our advice regarding to the damages you may claim for what you have suffered from the accident, right?
Yep, that's right.
All right, so now that we have familiarized ourselves with your situation, we now proceed to advise you on this matter for your claim. But before that, may I know if Mr. Roy has notified the insurance company about the occurrence of the accident?
No, I did not do so as I was bedridden for months.
Okay, Mr. Roy, in this regard, what actionable step you can take now is to notify your insurance company about the accident. This is very important for your protection and coverage for any potential claim, repair, or liability.
All right, Mr. Vishra, I'll take action on this as soon as possible. Thanks.
Great. And I would like to explain to you that the claim made under the standard motor insurance policy does not cover liability for death or injury. It only has coverage for damages to your vehicle.
Understand.
May I ask how we are going to claim for other damages apart from the vehicles?
No worries, Miss Eileen. In a motor vehicle accident that involves death and injury, we will institute a legal proceeding against the wrongdoer, who is Mr. Ahmad in our situation, for his careless and inconsiderate driving. And to add on regarding the compensation under the insurance policy, in the event the insurance company fails to comply with the terms of the policy, or there is a dispute as to the amount of compensation, we as your representative lawyers may negotiate with the insurance companies to reach a common ground. If consensus is not achieved, only then we might consider taking a civil action against the insurance company for a fair compensated. Do you need any further clarification on this, Mr. Roy and Ms. Eileen?
As for now, everything is clear for me. Thank you, Ms. Sovitra.
Yeah, it's clear for me too.
All right, great. Regarding the injury claim, Ms. Lee will further explain to both of you.
Okay, Mr. Roy and Ms. Eileen. So for a person suffering personal injuries as a result of an accident, the usual redress is an award for damages, and it is primarily governed by the Malaysian Civil Act 1956. So based on the information that we have received from you just now, we can now say that you would be able to claim for your pain and suffering, loss of earnings, medical and hospital bills, as well as the funeral expenses of your sons. In order to substantiate your claim, it would be great if you could provide with us the documentary evidence so that we could tender them as evidence before the court for the assessment of damages.
Yes, for example, your payslip, the hospital and medical bill. To put in short, all receipt of your expenses you incurred during the accident, you can keep and pass them to us so that we can proceed to the next step.
Yeah, so this is the end of our consultation today. Mr. Roy and Ms. Eileen, you may take your time to consider whether to appoint us as your lawyers to represent you in the further legal action.
I think Eileen and I have agreed to retain your firm to represent us. I'll sign the 2 documents you mentioned earlier and email it to you after this meeting.
Thank you so much for trusting us. We will do our best to assist you in this matter and to secure the best interest for you.
Our clerk, Ms. Demi, will then schedule the next meeting with you later on.
I'll contact you after this to let you know the details of the next meeting. So may I know what mode of communication would you prefer, Mr. Roy? Would it be convenient if we contact you via email or WhatsApp?
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Before we end our meeting today, I would like to remind you again to bring along the necessary document to us in the next meeting, those documents that you think might be helpful for our case.
Sorry, Ms. Sovitra, could you please repeat the documents that I will have to bring in the next meeting again? I couldn't really remember.
No worries, Mr. Roy. We'll send you a list of the documents needed later on through email. If you have any further inquiries after this consultation, you may contact us via email, WhatsApp, or by calling into our office during office hours. However, if there is any urgent matters, it will be perfectly fine for you to contact us out of the hour.
After some thorough research, we will provide you with our legal opinion as well.
That would be very helpful. Thank you so much, Ms. Lee and Ms. Sovitra, for the assistance. See you again.
Thank you so much, Miss Lee and Miss Savitra.
You're welcome.
So, Sovitra, for Mr. Roy's case, what do you think are the issues?
I think there are two main issues for us to deal with. First is about negligence on part of Mr. Ahmad, and second is the damages for Mr. Roy due to Mr. Ahmad's carelessness in driving while using his phone. I believe that we may institute a legal proceeding against him under Section 43 of the Road Transport Act for his carelessness and inconsiderate driving.
Yes, I agree with you on this.
And also, duty of reasonable care is imposed on the driver to oblige the driver to exercise necessary care while operating a motor vehicle. This is to prevent harming any other road user. So, if a liability is established on part of Mr. Ahmad, the injured party in our case, that is our client, will have the right to seek for the compensation.
Yeah, so we will see if negligence may be established against Mr. Ahmad after the evidence is provided to us. And with regard to injury claims, I think the situation here is pretty clear. Mr. Roy has suffered severe injuries and loss due to the accident, and he will be able to claim damages from Mr. Ahmad. And the hospital and medical bills shouldn't be a problem. He will have to provide us with the receipt and medical report issued by the hospital, and we could just tender them as evidence before the court as proof of damages.
Yes, you are right. So, as long as the medical expenses incurred are reasonable and justifiable, they will be recoverable. And another damage that I think we can claim from the third vessel is the funeral expenses of Mr. Roy's son. I'm pretty sure that both Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen are very devastated by their son's death, as John is very young and only 10 years old. That's a very great loss of them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel so sorry for them too. So perhaps we can help Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen to claim for damages for bereavement too. I believe the law entitles them as parents of an unmarried minor 10,000 ringgit Malaysia as bereavement.
Yes, you are right. If I'm not mistaken, it's under Section 7(3)(b) of the Civil Law Act 1956. So these damages that we just mentioned are all special damages that amount can actually be quantified. So how about general damages? They can be pecuniary losses or intangible in nature. I think it might be a little bit more difficult for us to quantify it. For example, pain and suffering. It sounds pretty vague, isn't it?
Yeah, the amount awarded for the pain usually depends on the type of injury and also the length of suffering experienced by Mr. Roy. And based on the information Mr. Roy has given to us earlier, he suffered from quite some serious injuries, so claiming for damages under this heading should be reasonable too for me.
Yes, and Mr. Roy's spinal injury has caused him to lose his job too. Probably because of the spinal injury, it makes it difficult for him to drive the bus. So I believe we can not only claim for the salary he lost during the 3 months of hospitalization, but also the loss of future earning, as Mr. Roy has mentioned to us that up to this date, he still cannot get a job.
Yeah, and to substantiate our claim on this, I think it would be great if we can get an expert medical report to show that his spinal injury can no longer be recovered to the state prior to the accident. So we could prove to the court to what extent the injury would cause Mr. Roy his loss of earnings. And if the injury is proven to be permanent and irreversible, and Mr. Roy can no longer perform his job properly, the loss of income may be permanent too.
Yes, and we should definitely be working on this as Mr. Roy is the breadwinner of the family. Now that he has already lost his son, it would be terrible if he lost his future income as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Sawitra. Mr. Roy is only 42 years old now, and he still has quite some years before he reaches the age of retirement. So it would definitely be unfair for him if he just lost his income like this. So let us try our best to help him out.
Yes, but I believe that a successful claim for damages is not simple as it sounds. All of them have requirements and some of them can be quite restrictive.
Yeah, we should scrutinize the relevant law and cases to support our claim. And since every case is different based on the circumstances, I will be focusing on looking for cases of which facts and issues are similar to ours so that we can better convince the court that Mr. Roy and Miss Eileen are entitled to the damages that we have mentioned earlier.
Yes, that's very important. And I'll be helping you out on this. But first let me prepare the list of documentary evidence that we need from Mr. Roy. Later, after we finish our research, I'll prepare a legal opinion letter in writing and send it to Mr. Roy as well.
All right, I think that will be all for now.
Yes, let us get back to work then. Thank you for your time.
Thanks to you too.
Bye.